What's going on, guys? So we're in the music room and I'm super excited. I got all my drum gear in here, a bunch of my snare drums in here, and eventually I want to start doing some recording. But before we can do that, I gotta do some things about the acoustics in here. Yeah. But today what we're going to do is we're going to build some of these acoustic panels that you see to my left and to my right here. And basically I'm going to walk you through step by step on how I'm building these panels and all the material that we're going to use to do it. So why don't we actually go take a walk over to the shop. That's literally right next door. So alright, let's take a walk over to the tool shop next door right here, and let's get started on building ourselves some acoustic panels. Alright, so here we are in the tool shop. I'm going to be using my table saw and eventually going to bust out the miter saw. But to get started, here's some of the things that I'm using. Basically, I went down to the store, just Home Depot, and I bought some 3/4 inch MDF. I bought a full 4x8 sheet, and we're going to be ripping them down into these 3-inch sections. Another thing that I bought was just a roll of screen door mesh. Obviously some drywall screws. I'm just kind of using some leftover from the project. These are 1.25 inch, but earlier I was also using some 1 5/8. You know, so that's that. Obviously some wood glue. I'm using some Gorilla spray adhesive, but we're going to want some adhesive for the fabric. For the fabric, I just went to my local Joann Fabrics and I bought some felt material, and then this is charcoal gray in color. So basically what we're going to do is we're just going to use this 3/4 inch MDF, and we're going to cut it down to 3-inch strips, and then from there we're going to frame it so that we can put our insulation in there. And for the insulation that we're using, or that I'm using the Roxol sound and fire safe insulation. It's the same insulation that I installed in all of the walls in the music room. So let's go ahead. I'm going to get this table cleared off, set up. I'm going to cut down some of the MDF into strips, and then from there we're going to start building some frames and doing some work. So let's get started. I have a love-hate with MDF. It's a great product, but it's messy. So make sure you get your shop vac all hooked up. Alright, so I put my table saw away. I got my miter saw out, and basically we need 2 cuts right now, and those 2 cuts are going to be 16.5 inches and 47 inches, and that's what we're going to use to build our first part of the frame. So what I'm going to do quick is I'm just going to take my tape measure here, and I already did this one, but I'm going to take this and I'm going to set it at 16.5. We're going to go ahead and we're going to cut these down and make some. These will be the wings. So I'm just going to do a couple real quick, and we'll get going. Again, MDF is so messy. Okay, so here's 2 pieces. That'll do 2 different separate ones, but these are at 16.5. Now I'm going to take another piece, and this time we're going to stretch it out 47 inches. So there's my 2 cuts. Now we're going to go ahead, I'm going to make some room, and I'm going to put it on the ground, and we're going to put it together, and then I'll show you the next piece that we need to cut also. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to take our longer pieces, and you want to make sure that our 2 16.5 inch pieces go on the outside. Alright, don't put it on the inside, but keep it on the outside, on the top basically. And then we'll do the same on the bottom. And all I'm going to do right now is I'm basically just going to glue up one side. I'm going to stick it together. I'm going to take a drill bit. I'm using a 7/64, if anyone wants to know. and I'm gonna pre-drill my my holes. I got a countersink that I'll use, and then I'm gonna go ahead and put in my screws. I'll flip it over and I'll do the other side. So pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Okay, so now what we got to do is we got to create a support bar. We're going to go ahead and we're going to cut 2 pieces down just shy of 15. So let's go ahead and do that, and then we're going to brace those in. So let me get the saw back out. Okay, so these new pieces are going to be supports for the insulation, and they're going to run right. Ooh, look at that cut, right on the money. Could have been a little bit tighter, but that's okay. All right, so basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a screw here, and then we'll put 2 in the backside here to support this. So I'm going to, of course, get out the old wood glue here. Now that we got our supports in, what we're going to basically do is I'm going to take a piece of scrap, and here is the insulation that we're going to put in there. And what we want to do is just make a little bit of room. Is I'm just going to take this piece, use it as reference, and I'm going to just slice this down. Okay. And then slice it out. Take that out. Alright, it doesn't have to be perfect, but so this is actually a special knife for insulation, but you could just use a really nice sharp razor blade, but this thing works awesome. So I'm just going to slice that down, and we're going to come in. Slice that out. Alright, now with that out, I'm just going to flip this over and we're going to set it inside our panel. And if we did everything right, it should be a very nice tight fit. Oh yeah, look at that. There we go. And there is the beginning of our sound panel. Alright, now we're going to need our screen door mesh and a stapler. Alright, on this next step, we're going to lay down our screen door, and we're going to do it on both sides. So we're going to start with the top, and basically I just got my piece kind of cut out, and I got it laying on there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by dragging this, there we go, to the edge. Actually, this is the end of the last piece, so it's kind of curly on both sides. Alright, so what I'm going to do with that being said is I don't trust it. So I'm going to put one in the center, and we're going to make this nice and tight. Now that we got that on, we're just going to take a knife, and we're just going to go right along the edge and basically just cut that down nice and even. And there you go. Now, this is going to keep it in place. what we're going to do is we're going to flip it, and we're going to do the same thing on the back side. So remember, this is the front, and now this is the back. And I did learn by practice that you should definitely do both sides. And the reason for it is I found that as I was trying to stretch the felt was touching the insulation, and I just couldn't get a nice tight pull to the felt. So once I put the screen door mesh, then the felt was able to be stretched easier onto the canvas for the next step. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to screen this side, and then we're going to go to the next step. Here you can see this is the back side because it's got the support slates, and I have my fabric laid out underneath it, and I just kind of trimmed it down to leave myself a little bit of edge. Now I should have left myself more, to be honest, but you know, that's alright for what it is. And like this top part, I left myself plenty. This is what I should have left on the sides, but that's okay. It is what it is. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna glue this thing and cut some corners down. So again, I'm using a Gorilla Glue. It says on it bonds wood, metal, fabric, plastic, paper, glass, leather, and more. So it has wood and fabric in the top, top 3 items. So that's what I'm going to use. It says to best is spray light even coat on one surface, allow to dry 1 to 3 minutes before joining. Repositionable up to 10 minutes depending on the surface type. So I'm actually going to go ahead and spray both the carpet, or the felt, and the wood. I'll go over to the other side and then I'll spray that. That'll give it that 1 to 3 minutes to dry. So we'll go ahead and shake this up. Okay, so I'm going to grab a fresh blade, and I got this little small, this is actually a paint trim guide, but what we're going to do is I'm going to tip this on its edge, and then I'm just going to use this trim guide here. Oh, look at that. A little dirty from the table, but other than that, now we have a very nice, good looking acoustic panel. Look at that. This is nice. Alright. Now we just need to mount it. Okay, so for mounting, what I have here is carpet transition strip, and basically, I need to put my phone on quiet. Let's do that. There we go. Okay. So, I have carpet transition strip, and you can use this to mount it either vertically or horizontally. I'm going to be doing both. I've already mounted mine horizontally in the room, and basically what I did is I cut off a piece that was, 2 holes deep, made it even, and measured. But we're going to do the same thing, but I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it for a horizontal, because I'm actually going to cut 2 small strips and mount it on the ceiling, or on the wall. So basically all I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to put this close to the edge. I'm leaving, a little bit, about 1/8 inch. And then I'm just going to take my marker and draw a line where this support bar that we made ends. Now we're going to take it over. We're going to use a hacksaw here. We're going to take this hacksaw and we're going to cut that little piece out. Then I'm going to drill 2 new holes. We're going to mount it here. We're going to cut another piece to match it. So we're going to cut 4 pieces right now. So let's go cut. Alright, we got our 4 pieces here, and basically all I'm going to do is I've just got this little 2x2 strapped to the table. I put this clamp there to hold it. I'm going to take my drill, and there's like a line that you can see from the factory, and I'm just going to nicely drill 2 holes on the sides. And it doesn't matter where they are. Obviously, the more even you make them, the better everything will turn out, but it doesn't have to be perfect. And there we go. The other thing that I'm going to do while I'm here is we're going to take just a regular file, and we're going to take down some of these sharp edges from where it was cut. Basically, these plates are going to sit like this, and these plates are going to sit against the wall, and they're going to interlock like this, and that's what's going to hold them. So what I'm doing is I'm just putting it right to the edge, and I'm just going to drill this out a little bit. This is totally the wrong drill bit. Hold on. Okay. Pull that off. Grab 2 drywall screws, and I'm using this board as an alignment, so I know that this is nice and straight. It's right with the edge. Alright, I'll do the same thing down here. Now, once this is on the wall, they're going to sit like that, which would be nice. And that's what's going to hold them. Okay, now we'll go back into the music room. We'll do some measuring. We're going to mount these to the wall, and we're going to place this. But before I do that, I'm also going to take one of these 3/4 inch clear bumpers, and basically I'm going to run a bumper right in the center. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm going to try to stick it kind of right down the center right here, so that as this sits up, this will get it so it's not touching the wall. Alright, that should be good. Let's go take it in the other room. Let's talk about mounting this thing. So here I've marked off basically the center of where I want the center of the panel to be. And I know that basically I want to go out 24 inches here, which is 2 feet, and 24 inches this way, another 2 feet, and that basically will mark the panel is 4 foot wide, where the ends are going to be in the center. I'm going to use a square here, nice big old square, and basically I know that I want to come down. I want to find that line that I just made. I'm using this to straighten that out. And I'm going to come down 10 3/4. And that number is just my number, but that's the distance from the top of the panel down to the bottom bracket that I'm going to mount. And I know it's 10 3/4. And then I'm going to draw a new line right here. And then here I'm just going to do another 10 3/4, move it over a little bit, and do another 10 3/4. And you'll see why in a minute. And then I'm just going to flip this, come over to this line, square this up, and do the same thing. We go 10 3/4, make a line, okay, And here I'm going to do another 10 3/4 and another 10 3/4. Okay. Now with that said, I'm going to put this down. I'm going to take my level out. I'm going to hold my level up. Make sure that that looks level, which it does. And I'm going to draw a straight line across. And the reason I drew this line down on both sides is that is actually where I'm going to put the inside of the bracket. And now I'm drawing the straight line across so I can see where I'm going to drill my holes. I'm going to put my holes right on that line. Alright, so again, I'm going to make sure that this is even. 10 3/4. Make it level. Okay. And I'm going to draw my line. Alright. So, let me grab my drill and we'll do the next step here. Hold on. Now, I'm not even going to lie. I'm not even worried about finding a stud finder. Basically, I have found that no matter what, if it's a stud, well, first I start with a smaller drill bit, and if I go in, I know there's no wiring here because I built this room, so I'm basically just going to hold this up to the end and get that centered with my pencil line. And I'm just going to start with my first hole. And it went right through, so I know there's no stud. That one also went through, so I know there's no stud there. Knowing there's no stud, then I'm going to use a bigger drill bit, which is the recommended size, so that I can install then the wall grips. So I'm going to go ahead and drill this one out now. Okay, so cut that down. I'm going to grab my 2 anchors, press this in, press that in. I forgot a hammer. Hold on. Grab my hammer. And we're just going to lay these in there. Okay. Now with that said, grab 2 screws. Grab my bit. Okay. Grab the second one. Jesus. This is not the right head. That's okay. Alright, so I'm going to leave that on there loose for right now. Then I'm going to come over to this side. I'm going to grab the other plate. We're going to do the exact same thing. With that said, those are just on there loose. So I'm going to go ahead and grab just a hand screwdriver. And grab my level and see how it sits. There we go. So now that I know that one's perfectly level, I'm going to tighten it down. Okay. I'll come over to this one. Now these are on there, and we're going to go ahead, grab our panel, slide it up, and it should sit right between those. So let's try it out. I'm going to walk past you. Here we go. Oops. Low ceiling. Okay. Okay. And all I have to do is now bring that over a little bit so you don't see the edge. You don't see the edge. Make sure it's firm. It's firm. And now it's mounted. And the nice thing is if I check this, 8 1/4. Eight and a quarter. Take my, oh, look at that, right on the money. So I went ahead and made sure, but it's nice and level. And now I have another acoustic panel. This one right behind this drum set. Now I got the rest of the drum sets to do. But that's my acoustic panel. So any questions, just ask. I'll do my best at answering them.